Hey guys, it's Nina, and in this video I'm going to show you how I get my favorite powder dip manicure at home. You know, we've had to give up a lot during quarantine, and my nails were just one of those things that I wanted to keep going. So if you're interested, keep watching. So I'm using this powder dip kit that I got from Amazon, and honestly it is very cheap quality, but this was the fastest thing I could get shipped to me. So this is from Full Sexy. Also, make sure that you wear a mask and some glasses if you have them, because this stuff does get all over the place and you just don't want to breathe in these particles. I'm using the gelish dip system. The top coat is not pictured here, and I will explain more on that later. I have an emery board, a fluffy brush, a nail drill, a lint-free cloth, and some oil. So I'm starting with clean filed nails. This is an almond shape. I would have liked them a little bit more pointy, but they're not long enough. So this is what we're working with. So first I'm going to start with a thin layer of the prep on each of my nails. This is going to help make sure there aren't any excess oils on my nails. I did wash my hands before this and I did not moisturize them. So if you see my hands looking really ashy, that's why. Next is the base coat, so I can start dipping. I'm using this silver glitter, and I'm using a bobby pin to stir it. That was the only thing I could find, so just use what you have. I'm applying the base coat to one nail at a time, and then I'm just going to dip one nail at a time. I'm dipping my nail at a 45-degree angle. This spot is pretty small, so I have to do this backwards, and then I'm just tapping off the excess. I'm wiping the powder off my skin with the brush, and that's the first coat. So I'm just continuing these steps on my nails, again, one nail at a time. You also want to make sure that you're not putting on too much powder at once, just to make sure that it doesn't get super thick and gunky. Also, make sure that you are dipping at an angle. If you go straight down, it's just gonna be messy. FYI, that powder, the pink powder that you see on the brush, is from when I did a test run with this, so it's not transferring onto my nails now. So it's base, dip, tap, brush. Alright, I got the first coat down, and this powder is pretty cheap like I mentioned before, so if you're using a higher quality brand, you might get more coverage on the first go. So now it's time for the second coat, and I'm following the same exact steps: base, dip, tap, and brush. After dipping your nail, you want to wait just a few seconds before you brush it off, so that way you give it time to set. As I go through this process, I'm using my emery board to gently file down and push down my cuticles a bit, just to get rid of any excess powder that's built up there. That's going to be really important when it's time for the top coat. So I've got the coverage that I want, so now I'm just going to brush all the excess powder off my hands and get ready for the next step. Next is the activator. I'm going to use that on each nail to solidify the powder. You only need a thin layer of this, and then you'll see the powder start to darken as you apply it. Next, I'm using my drill to shape my nails because the last thing you want with powder nails is for them to be really fat and bulky, and that's very easy to do. So I'm using the drill to shape them, file them, smooth them down. I'm using the buffing drill bit, and this drill comes with instructions on which drill bit to use based on what you're trying to do. And I'm very gently going over my cuticles to get rid of the excess because it is easy to break your skin using a drill. I think my nail tech is great, but she has broken my skin a few times with the drill, so make sure you're being extra careful. The buffing and shaping is the longest part of this process, and that's true even when I went to the nail salon, so just have some patience. Now, I didn't exactly do this perfectly, but this is only my second time doing dip nails at home, and I'm also not a professional, so, cut yourself a little bit of slack. I'm also using my buffer block to smooth everything, and this helps me go a little bit deeper without having to worry about breaking my skin. After everything is as smooth as it's gonna get, I'm going back in with the activator to set the shape. Again, just a thin layer will do. Now it's time for the top coat, and it looks a little bit funny, right? Quick little public service announcement. Make sure that the top coat is closed properly, because when I did my test run that first time, the top coat was laying on its side. I did not realize it was only half closed, and so a lot of it leaked out, and this stuff is indestructible. That's the whole appeal of dip powder nails. It's supposed to last long. So this top coat basically froze on the bottle. I could not get this bottle open. It took me I think it literally took me 45 minutes to get this bottle open, and I ended up breaking it because there was just so much pressure on it. So I had to decant the top coat into an empty serum bottle that I had, and I wrapped it in foil to make sure that it wouldn't cure from the light. And yeah, that was just a really crazy experience. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that the top coat got all over my hands, and it took me about an hour to get it off, with oil, with the buffer block, with the drill. It was just bad. Okay, so be very careful with this top coat. It is meant to be indestructible, and if it gets on your skin, it's good luck trying to get it off. Also, before you apply your top coat, make sure you wipe your nails down with a lint-free cloth. I didn't get a chance to show you guys that, but that's an important step so you don't seal in any little fibers. I'm using the brush from the broken bottle to apply a very thin layer on each nail. Thin is the key word because this stuff basically shrinks to your nail, and if you apply too much, it will hurt, literally hurt. It's the weirdest thing. So yeah, be super conservative about your top coat. Build up to the gloss that you want. It's also really easy when you have the glitter already to kind of get a nice sheen without too much top coat. But remember, if you over apply, this stuff will freeze to your nail and it will be painful. I am telling you, take my word for it. Do not experiment. It hurts. And when you're finished, you want to wait just a couple of minutes for everything to dry. It really doesn't take long. Finally, I'm finishing up with a little bit of oil on the cuticles. This is just olive oil, and honestly, it stinks, but this is the only oil that I have in the house, believe it or not. So this is what I had to work with. So I'm gonna rub that in to moisturize my hands because at this point they are so crazy dry. I'm using the cloth to wipe off the excess. And we are all finished. Here is my powder dip mani done right at home. It took me about an hour, maybe a few minutes over an hour. As you can see, my thumbs are not exactly even, but I don't really care. I'm happy that I was able to do this, a long-lasting manicure at home. I love getting powder dip done, and I'm really thankful that I'm able to do it at home while I'm not able to go to my nail tech. And that glitter that you see on my cuticles, it actually fell off the next day after I took a shower, so everything was all good. So I got all these items from Amazon. I will link to them in the description box. I'll also leave some instructions. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them. I'm not a pro though, so I can only answer really basic ones. But yeah, thanks again and stay well.